Hey y'all, it's CasualBarehn, and today I'm going to be telling y'all a story about a character named Little Jhonny Two Sticks. Now, when he was born, one of his parents wanted him, one of them was just like, you know what, you've ruined everything. Little Jhonny Two Sticks didn't let that bother him too much. He just went outside and was playing with sticks, acting like he had swords. Well, down the road, little Jhonny Two Sticks would get into school and he would learn the art of the sword and the way of the book. But on the road to there, he would do something wrong and old Daddy Two Sticks would give him a walloping, which made him pretty dang tough. And it helped him survive later on when he was in school. Because the kids, even though they're all there for the same reason, they just decided to target little Jhonny Two Sticks and pick on him and try to beat him up. But little Jhonny Two Sticks was real fast, you see. And the first few times they tried to gang up on him, he outran them all. One day though, little Jhonny Two Sticks was like, I can't run forever. I'm gonna have to learn the way of the sword. And so he got his little wooden sword and he went out there and he duked it out with them and gave them all a clobbering. And they ended up being friends with them all too. Kind of a strange deal. But they seemed to only respect you if you were good with the sword. Yeah, that was their little community. But down the road he would also take up the way of the book. And they'd make fun of him and call him a nerd. And one day he just knocked out one of them with a big heavy book and he said, see, books can be tough and strong too. Just not like that. And then he put the book down and felt kind of dumb because here he was using a book as a sword. But he didn't let that hold him back. He just one little bump in his long journey. But yeah, he'd eventually, get quite a ways. But something that always bothered little Jhonny Two Sticks was what everybody would always tell him. They wouldn't ever view little Jhonny Two Sticks. They'd always tell him, hey look, the king, he only gives us money based on how many people are here and how often they're here. We won't be able to teach you anything if you're not here. We need that money. And little Jhonny Two Sticks was like, yeah, this school does need the money. But at the same time, little Jhonny Two Sticks was like, well, do I not matter then? Am I just a number? And he'd go home. And Mama Two Sticks would tell him, look, you gotta do these things or we're not gonna get any money from the king. Daddy Two Sticks ran off and got drunk and lost on a wagon. So now we're just here. And little Jhonny Two Sticks felt pretty down, thinking, man, nobody sees me as a person, they all just see me as a dollar sign. He was pretty bent, and it didn't ever go away either. Knocked him right off. He stayed strong as he could, but he couldn't shake the fact that his life meant nothing, or at least he thought so. So he went all that time, he gave up on everything and just loafed around playing with sticks outside and didn't get nowhere. Gave up on everything. Then one day, out of the blue, this beautiful young lady tells him, hey, how about we go and have a dance at the inn or something? And he thought that was the strangest thing he'd heard, but oddly enough it sounded fun to him. So he went there and they'd hang out, they'd go and have fun, they'd dance, play with sticks together and do all sorts of silly things. he realized, you know, maybe he doesn't matter, but, you know, he's got a life, and if things are looking up, maybe he ought to live it. So this young lady, she gave him a lot of hope, you know, filled him with dreams and ambition. And even though he was already full of doubt and giving up and feeling worthless, she was the complete opposite for him. And he went for a few years used and not really sure whether his life was this or that, or whether he was this or that. And he just kind of went with the flow for a while, mostly mentally in discord, but physically he was fine, you know, just all in his head, a lot of battle going on up top. But one day his wife, she's pregnant, and he realizes, well, I really got to get myself together. And he tried, and eventually it just didn't work. And he couldn't figure it out, you know, and he just did a lot of self-reflecting and wondering, why can't I get things always end up just quitting and dropping everything and going back to being outside playing with sticks? What's wrong with me? Couldn't figure it out. And then one day someone picks him up, tells him, hey, quit playing with sticks, it's for kids. And he says, well, I've got nothing else to do. And the guy says, hey, you know how to dance? And he says, yeah. Do you know how to sing? He said, well, I could learn. And the guy says, look, I run a local inn, and you seem kind of crazy, but maybe you're just a thing we need to get some happy campers at the tavern. And then he goes, well, I thought you said it was an inn. Well, we got a tavern too. And I honestly don't care if you work at either one, as long as you make people happy. And little Jhonny Two Sticks was kind of confused, but he was willing, so he asked the guy, so where do I go? And he said, tavern or inn? And he said, I guess the tavern, since that sounds like people are going to have liquor and they're less likely to remember me. And then he told him where to go, and he went there, and he did a dance, he tried to sing, and it didn't work out, and people laughed at him, and he felt real stupid. And after the night was over, and people came up to him like, look, you can't sing worth a damn, but damn, that was funny, man. I'm really glad that I came here tonight. And he felt good hearing things like that. And the tavern owner came up to him and said, hey, I don't backwards talent kind of miracle, I don't even know what to call it, but look, people were happy, people were paying, people were drinking, and some people even stayed the night. So here's your cut. And for the first time, little Jhonny Two Sticks was living on real money. He went home and told everybody and got a bunch of things and started getting things together. But down the road, little Jhonny Two Sticks just dropped it all, went back to the sticks. Couldn't figure out why, just that it would happen. No matter how far he'd get, eventually, it would always lead him back to just fiddling with sticks in the field. Many years went by, the same thing. He'd land a job, and then he'd do real good for a while. Then he'd go back to sticks. And a lot of the local villages and surrounding villages, they kind of knew this guy. They were like, look, he's good for a solid 2 months, 3 months, and after that, you know, he just kind of falls off the wagon. he's not a drunk, he's just, I don't know, something wrong with him. So eventually little Jhonny Two Sticks had his house burned down and had nothing, lost his family and everything. And at that point he realized he hadn't given up, because if he had given up he wouldn't still be around. So he picked himself up, he stopped playing with sticks, and he went to a local banker and asked for a favor. He said, look, you've got a bunch of gold and I need a job, and all I've got is my muscle. So how about I work here security for a little while and I'll go ahead and get paid by you. And the banker looked at him kind of funny. He said, are you kidding me? Get the hell out of here. And little Jhonny Two Sticks was just like, dang, I really thought that was gonna work. But eventually he did find something. He was growing tomatoes, a watermelon, and he sold them on the side. Eventually he made enough money to get himself a wagon and a horse, and he was giving people rides from village to village, and he became kind of like a taxi service. And then little Jhonny Two Sticks went from being known as a 3-month quitter to being the local and distant taxi. If you need a ride, just send word and he'll get you from point A to point B. Eventually he even got his family back and he got a house and everything, and he was able to live happily ever after going through all that hell. But yeah, you know, eventually it all panned out for him. Alright, that's today's little story about little Jhonny Two Sticks. Now today I'll make it great. See y'all in the next video.